In our last episode, we looked at Bitcoins, discussing the pros and cons of this phenomena as an asset class. Today, however, we turn our attention to another asset class, one which may be quite familiar to most of us and to the average citizen. Today, I would like to look at annuities, and more particularly, employee benefit annuities. What are annuities? Annuities, particularly those tied to employee benefit plans, are often presented as secure retirement instruments. At their core, annuities function like structured retirement savings plans. Individuals or workers contribute funds over time, and upon retirement, the accumulated balance must be converted into an annuity, usually through an approved insurance company. The annuity then provides a fixed monthly payment for the remainder of the retiree's life. On the surface, this arrangement may appear very attractive. Contributions to registered annuities are often tax-deferred, and the promise of guaranteed lifetime income offers a sense of security to the retiree or the pensioner. However, a closer examination of this instrument, which has become so prolific as a pension instrument for retirees, reveals that it has several structural disadvantages, which I would like to discuss today. Perhaps the best way to begin our discussion and analysis is with a very simple example. Assume for a moment that an employee at retirement at the age of 60 had accumulated $1.3 million in his pension saving plan. Under the current pension arrangements in most Caribbean countries, that employee would be entitled to receive 25% of the accrued balance as a tax-free lump sum. And the residual balance would then be used to purchase an annuity from an approved insurance company, which would then be obligated to pay the retiree a monthly pension for the rest of his life. Based on the example cited above, this employee would receive a lump sum payment of $325,000, and in exchange for transferring the residual $905,000 to the approved insurance company, the employee would be entitled to receive a monthly pension of approximately $4,700. Remember now, under the current arrangements which exist, most employees have absolutely no choice in this matter. They are obligated to purchase an annuity on retirement. This is usually a legally mandated requirement for most employees operating in the private sector today. So let us now examine the economics and the real financial implications of this arrangement. The first thing which one needs to understand is this. In handing over or purchasing an annuity for just under $1 million, or let's be exact, for $905,000, in exchange for a monthly pension of $4,700, it would take the retiree approximately 16 years to recover the initial purchase price of the annuity. Let me repeat that. It would take the retiree 16 years to recover the $905,000 which he utilized to purchase the annuity. For those of us who have just a rudimentary understanding of finance, we know that the present value of $1 is greater than its future value. So just simply on the face of it, the purchase of an annuity has serious financial questions. Why would someone voluntarily hand over $905,000 to an insurance company or to any company in that matter, for that matter, in order simply to receive a monthly pension of $4,700? This makes very little financial sense on the face of it. So this is my first point. The second point is this. Even though the retiree would have handed over $905,000 to the insurance company in exchange for the monthly pension of $4,700, in the event that that pensioner or his wife or his spouse dies shortly after retirement, annuities are structured in such a manner that no further benefit accrues to the retiree's estate. Let me repeat that. In the event that the retiree and his wife passes away within a reasonably short period after the annuity has been bought, the accrued benefit that continues under that annuity does not go to his estate. In other words, on the passing of the retiree and his spouse, the residual balance goes not to the estate of the pensioner, but goes directly to the insurance company, forming either part of their surplus or profits. The third point which I would like to highlight is the following. At $4,700 per month, the retiree would receive an annual income of $56,400. Had that retiree instead taken the lump sum of $905,000 and invested it in a fixed deposit or a mutual fund, yielding just 5% per annum, the income that that pensioner would have received from such an investment would be approximately $45,000 a month. This would be $11,000 shy of what he would receive under the annuity. What's more, and this is the critical point, the pensioner would still have his principal balance of $905,000, which he could distribute or dispose as he saw fit. Having, however, invested in an annuity, the retiree no longer has that benefit. He no longer has access to that $905,000. All he's entitled to is the $4,700 that he will receive as a pension per month. The fourth point which I would like to highlight in terms of the unattractiveness of annuities can be placed under the heading of alternative investments. What do I mean by that? Had the retiree taken the $905,000 and rather than purchasing an annuity, he had purchased a small rental apartment instead and was thereafter able to rent that apartment out for only $3,000 per month or $36,000 per annum compared to the $56,400 he received from the annuity, that retiree in 10 to 20 years would still own his rental apartment, and with inflation and increase in real estate prices, that unit would probably and more than likely have doubled in price. Even so, the retiree will still be able to collect a monthly income, albeit somewhat less than what the annuity initially provided. The fifth and final point which I would like to make regarding the performance of annuities is the structural limit of this product. The $56,400 which the retiree receives per annum as an annuity from the insurance company is essentially equivalent to the interest that he would have received had he invested the funds for himself in an instrument yielding approximately 5%. Consequently, and this should be obvious, whether that pensioner lives another 10, 20, or 30 years, receiving only what is equivalent to the interest on the funds which he used to purchase the annuity, he would never recover the $905,000 which was used to purchase the annuity in the first case. So what does all of this mean? Let me see if I could put it together in a nutshell. I am not suggesting for 1 second that one should not consider the purchase of annuities. What I'm saying, however, is that while annuities are often legally mandated within employee benefit schemes and may provide predictable monthly income, they are frequently disadvantageous when assessed against alternative investment options. Retirees, therefore, should be aware of the long-term financial implications of annuities, particularly so the permanent loss of capital and the lack of benefit to their estate. Something to think about. A word to the wise.